Hello and welcome to our edition of AI and Achieve Unite's live show. And today is going to be a very rich conversation. By popular demand, the AI topic was so hot the last time that this is version 2, and we're going to focus on the marketing revolution. And we have some amazing guests. So let's start with our resident expert, Jessica Baker. Go ahead, Jess, introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, Jessica Baker, Chief Program Officer here at Achieve Unite, and I will be working with this esteemed panel of AI experts to navigate the world of AI, generative AI, and marketing. Yeah, let's go ahead and get the panel to introduce themselves. How about Allison?
Great. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Allison Bergamo. I'm CEO and founder of Bergamo Marketing Group. My firm provides future-focused marketing for high-growth B2B tech companies. And I am so excited to talk to you about AI and the possibilities that it has for channel marketing and sales. When I am not in the office, you'll usually find me on a golf course or a tennis court, furiously working on my short game. So really happy to be here.
Love it. Thanks for being with us, Allison. How about
Thank
Jim?
you.
Hi, everyone. Jim Chow. I'm Vice President of Worldwide Partnerships at a cool fintech payments startup called Volante Technologies. It really has nothing to do with today's webinar in terms of AI and marketing. However, my passion in life is is helping companies grow exponentially through partners and channels, and have been doing that for 20 years across Siebel, Oracle, Hyperion, Google Cloud, and now Volante. And I've been talking about AI ML technologies for the past 6 years. While at Google, I advise a couple AI companies on the side, and happy to participate in today's discussion.
Wonderful. Thanks, Jim. Nick.
All right, Nick Dinsmore. I'm COO of Real Access. I'm also a fractional CMO for several of our clients. We work in just the B2B tech space, so this is right up our alley. And we try to not only, we like to eat our own dog food. So we like to use the technology that we tell our clients they should use to be more efficient. So super excited to talk about some really fun sandboxy type of AI things today. And I'm not on the tennis courts when I'm on my free time, but I'm typically on two wheels. If it's got two wheels and no engine, I like to be on it, riding around. So super excited to be a part of the conversation.
There you go. Wonderful. Thanks everyone for being with us. You know, when I think about generative AI, I think marketing is one of those places where it can really make a big impact. And so I just wanted to open up the questions, Allison. Like, what are some of the main problems that marketing departments are facing right now? Maybe in terms of partner marketing or just corporate marketing. Any comments on that?
Oh my gosh, how much time do we have?
About 45 minutes.
Everyone get comfortable. Regardless of the type of marketing, whether it's channel marketing, partner marketing, content marketing, marketing teams all have the same challenges and opportunities. We don't have enough time. We don't have enough resources. We're the first to have our budgets cut, and we're typically asked to do more with less. At the same time, what we're seeing now are, a shift in the leadership. So millennials, who were the first generation of digital natives, they're stepping into leadership roles, and they have been self-educators. They have done all the legwork that they need to in researching products and solutions with the goal of not getting anywhere near a sales rep.
Yeah.
So marketers need to be creative in using tools such as generative AI to get on the same level as these new leaders and deliver not just personalized experiences, but hyper-personalized experiences that are fast, friendly, convenient, and still have a human touch, and do it all within short time frames and with limited budgets.
Yeah, we're all up against that, right? It's time is money. We're all trying to do things as fast as possible. Nick, do you have any comments on that? Do you see anything else from your perspective?
No, I think she's spot on. I think it's funny when we think about time. I mean, what is it? The 6 seconds, the squirrel. It's you don't have any. You need not only to do work fast, you need to be able to have it creative enough and hyper focused enough so that people do pay attention. I think the other piece I guess I would add is that part of the challenge of a marketer is we need to give our constituents, our stakeholders, more choices. And so I think the generative AI piece of this is our extra value that we can give is more choices, because I mean, how many of us have, presented something like, hey, how about this? And they're like, oh, well, what about this, and this? Like, well, maybe if we go in with a few more choices, then we streamline our process of go-to-market effectiveness.
So talking about choices, it seems like every day I'm reading about, the next 5 or 6 or 10 new hot things that are on the market, and you just have to try this. And I do think that we're starting to see maybe some of the cream rise to the top. There are definitely some that, everyone's sort of aware of ChatGPT and probably Claude and some of the others that are out there. But Jim, talk to me about some of the tools that are out there right now and the value that it can really bring to a marketing department, a marketing effort.
Sure. So I'll answer the question a little more from a channel partner practitioner executive who's run partner programs, reseller programs, etc. So first part of the question is, in terms of the AI ML tools out there, I've been talking about AI ML as part of Google Cloud previously, and been watching all the crazy hype around Gen AI, OpenAI, ChatGPT, Google Bard, and the hundreds and thousands of offshoots that have popped up in the last 10 months around that. I think, the traditional AI ML technology that we've seen for the last 6-7 years is all out there. You can define your problem. You get the data if you can get the data to solve that problem, get the right skilled people around building AI models and deciphering data, cleaning data, and then the right investments to build it. You can build anything. But I think what's really changed in the last 10 months is with Gen AI, because of OpenAI, the Google Bards, Microsoft, we've actually made machine learning accessible to the public and to the masses in an understandable way that they can use it in their daily jobs and lives as easy as putting in a search in Google. I think that's the amazing thing that's changed. And so let's say in partnerships programs, alliance programs, to what Allison and Nick said, marketing always has their challenges. But if you're running a partner program and trying to get partner channel marketing resources, we're usually 2-3 rungs lower on the priority list or at the bottom of the priority list for resources. So getting tools like ChatGPT to help us run our partner programs more effectively, generate non-copyrighted content, whether it's data sheets, joint value propositions, even first drafts of press releases for strategic alliances. That's where the power really is. And I can get into more examples of that because I've been through many partner programs where, hey, I have the raw content and thoughts, but I need to wait 3, 4, 5 months for a marketing person to support me, or we don't have an OpEx to hire an Allison or Nick. And so everything is so slow. But now, with ChatGPT, with Google Bard, I have this industry marketing expert in my pocket that I can generate 70-80% of the content I need to get started within 5-10 seconds. And either myself or with some help of my marketing team, put something out there in a week or 2 weeks that normally would I've had to wait 5-6 months for.
So what's the last AI tool that you used today?
Right before I was testing out both ChatGPT and Google Bard. So I actually tested, hey, generate a press release between, choose your favorite partner, Accenture and Microsoft Azure AI. And it generated something pretty amazing in terms of a general press release that pulled in data about both companies, pulled in some really interesting ideas that becomes, the 70-80% you can just jumpstart and go with and drive a first draft within a couple hours versus a couple weeks.
I've often said, sometimes it's easier to be an editor than an author.
Mm-hmm.
And some of these tools, allow us to be editors versus authors. Allison,
Sure.
I know you're deep into the tools, so talk to me. What are you using these days? What have been some of the more miraculous outcomes that you've had with these tools?
Oh, well, thanks for the question. And I'm going to approach it from both a marketing and a sales perspective because I have been in commission-based sales. I have personally closed 5- and 6-figure deals, and I always approach my marketing through a sales lens. And so, one of the tools that I really like right now is Claude 2. And the reason is twofold. First of all, I write a lot of content. I personally write the content. Unlike what Jim was saying, I personally write the content myself. However, I typically on tight deadlines, and I'm typically writing about complex technologies. For example, cybersecurity mesh architecture. So what I love about Claude AI is I can take research from a client. I can take a white paper. I can take a solution brief. I can upload it into Claude AI and ask through prompts, Claude, can you summarize this for me? What is a 30-second soundbite on what cybersecurity mesh architecture is, and give me, the 5 key benefits of this solution, and what are the 5 questions a chief information security officer would want to know about this solution. So that is what I use it for, to summarize, to glean the key insights from the content assets so that I can create original content that speaks to my different audiences. Now, on the flip side, for a salesperson, and I was just talking to a fellow channel leader a week or so ago, and she conveyed a story about a sales rep confessing to her that there are times this person is sitting in their car Googling, what is cybersecurity mesh architecture right before going into a prospect meeting. And so, I mean, salespeople, they have so much on their plates. And so a solution like Claude can do the same thing. It can come up with, key talking points, a key overall description of this complex solution, and they're better armed for going into those conversations. Also, because large language models are really good at making connections among concepts, they can also use a solution like Claude AI to say, please come up with 3 analogies to help me explain cybersecurity mesh architecture better for my client. And then all of a sudden they go from being a sales rep to helping make sense of these tools with a client or prospect, which in turn boosts the client or prospect's decision confidence.
I never thought about asking them for analogies. Right. I think I might have to do that. Like, I remember trying to figure out maybe a year or 2 ago what Kubernetes was. And that was a hard one to grasp. So I probably could have used generative AI for that one.
Yeah. I think just to add on to that, I mean, I think one of the things that's interesting, not only educating somebody, but you mentioned, Allison, the prompts and even using these different tools. But like if somebody is sitting in a car or they're a BDR, an SDR, when it comes to enablement, I think the other piece is it's asking them things like, how do you handle objections? How do you handle rejections? How do you, what are some engagement techniques, right? You've basically have this source of the sales manager on the fly in your pocket, right? So these are now tools that whether it be ChatGPT or whether it be AIPRM or any of these things that are allowing you to get information that before that person that's maybe green would have to go go find their sales manager, go find
Right.
the marketer and try to ask these questions. It
Mhm.
allows them to try to have something right there to be able to react. Because again, if that salesperson or you're in front of a partner, you're wanting to talk,
Mhm.
you're not going to get a second chance, right? You have to
Right.
answer it then.
Right.
And the beauty of the Gen AI technologies out there is they synthesize and summarize in a very
Mhm.
organized and logical way. Whereas,
Right.
traditionally the sales rep at
Sometimes a
Google says,
comedic way too.
cybersecurity gets 7 different links and try to read them all and synthesize. The Chat GPTs and Google Bards and the Claudes will synthesize, in their opinionated
Mhm.
point of view. Hey, these are the 5 key points, but they're coherent, and 70-80% of the time the data is correct. The other 20%, that's where we can't rely 100% on the information we get
No.
from Gen AI, but at least 70-80% is pretty good out there as a start.
It's a good place
Jessica,
to
you
start.
mentioned
When
about
you're
you
like,
mentioned about
yeah.
the tools. One
Yeah.
thing
Mhm.
that one of the tools that we use a lot is just there's the plugins, right, in Chrome, that and one of
Mhm.
them is YouTube Summary with ChatGPT and Claude. And it actually, so if those of you who, there's so much good content, video content, it can summarize like that video content of a
Mhm.
podcast, of a TED talk, of a explaining
Mhm.
Kubernetes, right, explaining technical terms. Now, to Jim's point, it's probably 80%, right, or 70% sometimes.
Right.
Like, you look at some of the translation and some of
Mhm.
this, it's like, whoa, this person is,
Mm.
it's not perfect,
Yeah.
but when it comes to video, there's so much
Mhm.
video content out there that is amazing, that people have
Yeah.
produced,
Yeah.
that maybe in a different context and a different way to get information,
Mhm.
that if you're a marketer, just one more way to be able to create value and create enablement.
Yeah. And to your point, Nick, and this is what I tell my clients and my audiences when I'm speaking on AI. AI is a tool. It's not an easy button. And the examples that Jim and Nick have given, I mean, that just highlight that so perfectly. I mean, humans will always need to be in the loop. I mean, you need to fact check the outputs. You need to provide the right prompts, and prompt crafting is going to become an even bigger aspect of generating value from these tools than what we're seeing now. You need to check sources. I mean, these tools still hallucinate. I mean, as much as I love Claude, Claude has produced outputs based on my
You're trying to
original
say that AI
content.
is on mushrooms? Is that what you're saying? Is
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
exactly. It has literally produced stats that were not in my inputs, and then when I've called Claude out on it, Claude actually has apologized. It's really funny, saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry. That's not a true statistic. It's an example of a stat that you could put into a white
Wow.
paper." So you have to be very vigilant about how you use these tools and what their outputs are, and do the fact checking on your own.
So we talked a lot about words, right? And the
Mhm.
other, horizon here with generative AI is images. And part
Right.
of being marketing is finding those images that go along with
Mhm.
your messaging and your story and things
Mhm.
like that.
Mhm.
So have any of you played around with any of the image creation tools that are out there? What's been your experience?
we use Midjourney and then
Yeah.
Discord.
Mhm.
We use it all the time. And then
Mhm.
Adobe they have their own AI imagery, which is actually better and it's more licensed. It looks, the
Mhm.
issue with some of these tools, I mean, Midjourney is the big one. Like it's great to create concepts, but sometimes that person has 3 arms, or you
Yeah.
have like, different, it's like a bad Photoshop, the
Yeah.
Photoshop
Mhm.
fail. Sometimes that's what you could generate it out of these. But
Right.
that said, I'll give you a real life example. I mean, we just did an AI generated image for a giant banner that was actually going to be in a parade, ironically enough, and it
Wow.
had people running into the street, like, because it was so vivid and so colorful, and it's not something that our designer would have created on their own, but
Mhm.
she created it through that tool, and it's like that just again, it got the 80%. She was able to add more to it, but I
Right.
think these tools give you the creative lens is really amazing.
Mhm.
So I'm a huge fan of
Yeah.
them.
Absolutely. I mean, they are great for brainstorming, for just jump starting, the creative process.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't used those tools, but I think how many times have I been stuck building a PowerPoint presentation where I needed a great picture of collaboration or running
mhm,
into a wall, and I scour the web and look for minutes and minutes and tens and hours of the right ones and not quite there. But if there's Gen AI ones that you can kind of guide in terms of sentiment or the scenario and generate
mhm,
that's pretty powerful to find the right images. And then secondly, if you're starting a company or starting your product, I was dabbling with Gen AI, the Chat GPTs,
mhm.
and Google Bards. Hey, help me generate or give me ideas for a new logo for
Yeah.
this kind of solution or company. And that's where it generates some interesting ideas. It may not
Mhm.
generate the image, but it gives you some interesting thoughts to get started. I
Yeah.
found that pretty amazing.
Yeah, I think it's up to us to take those concepts and bring them over the finish line.
Yep.
You need that
I
human
use
element.
another example, Jessica,
Or
that we use we've tested out. It's called Synthesia. It literally can take. So I joke about me not being an avatar, but I've created an avatar with it. But you have a list
Mhm,
of like 50 different people you can choose from. But you literally say, "Hey, tell me about marketing in the channel," and the
mhm,
AI will create an entire presentation with the avatar speaking and doing
mhm.
it within about 60 seconds. Now, to Allison's point, Jim's point, all your guys' points, like, is it perfect? No, I mean, but I
Mhm,
gotta say, like, the difference between spending 4 or 5 hours to build something versus spending an hour to edit something.
mhm.
So
Yep.
from the value of marketing and the value to marketing is pretty big. And they're, like I say, I mean, they're pretty real. We tested them out with some clients. We
Yeah,
used them on some social posts, and it's like, wow, these people they're legit.
right, right.
so a big time saver, jump
Mhm,
starting the creative process, maybe
mhm,
helping you summarize things so that you can
mhm,
distill things down and then actually take your own action. A lot of
mhm.
goodness, right?
Sure,
Yeah.
Let's flip this a little bit.
sure.
Um, what are some of the downsides of using Gen AI in marketing?
Oh
Anybody
gosh.
want to take one of those?
One thing I like, Allison, we're chatting before. I liked what you said. When you're using Gen AI, let's say for content, you
Mhm.
know, don't use it for content you plan to copyright. If you're doing like a
Exactly.
data sheet, if you're doing a blog, if you're doing
Right.
a joint value prop, just for more informational purposes, get something out there. If you generate image,
Mhm,
I think it's okay. But if you then want to copyright the content, you can definitely get into a lot of trouble. But because we don't know where the original
mhm.
source of the inspiration to the large language models, where it could get us in trouble. So for me, when
Right.
I talked to Allison before, totally okay for using for non-copyrighted content
Yeah.
to get out there, get going. But
Mm.
if you're plan to do copyrighted content, you got to think about it and be very
Yeah.
careful.
And just to add to that, based on my research, and we all know with AI, everything changes on a daily basis, if not an hourly basis. However, at this point, the U.S. Copyright Office will not award copyrights to AI-generated content
Mm.
or images. It has to be the product of human creation. And there was a story about a woman who created a book. She wrote a book and she used a tool, I believe it was Midjourney, to create the
Mhm.
images. And then she
Yeah.
went to get a copyright, and the office said, we can copyright your content. We are not going to copyright your images because those were created by generative AI. That
Mm.
is not human creation. You did not create that. And then she tried to appeal it by saying, "Well, what about the advent of the camera? The camera is a machine; it takes images. Why can't I, the same thing?" And so you're going to see a lot of pushback from creators of
Right.
content and imaging who are images and videos and more using these tools. And it could come down to how much human involvement, human creation was put into this content asset, into this image library. So it's something that I'm watching very closely. And for me, since I create and produce content for hire, as in good consciousness, I cannot generate content using AI and hand it over to a client. That's why I write original content. And that way I know for certain they can own that, they can copyright that. And that, you're going to see more and more content creators and other image creators using authenticity statements, saying that, for example, if you have a blog, you can say, I created this content on my own using these prompts, or I created this content on my own with no assistance from AI. And companies are starting to question. I've had clients ask me, did you create this content yourself, or did you use a tool? And I can tell them unequivocally, no, I have created this on my own. Or I could say, I used a tool such as Claude to create the outline based on the research you supplied me.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a slippery slope, but there's a lot of uncharted territory right now, right? And so the more we get into this, the more I think we're going to start defining exactly where those limits are, and how we showcase stuff as our work, right? It's
Right.
a big thing, and that's exactly what the strike is about with the writers and the actors out in LA. So there's a lot of ramifications here. Nick, I interrupted you. What were you going to say?
Yeah, I saw a good quote, which Jessica appreciate this. The quote was that AI is merely a guiding force, right? And and I think I agree with that. I think at the end of the day, it's a guiding force to allow us to do a lot of things. And I think while I probably differ a little bit from Allison on the perspective of how to drive content, I think if you do everything AI, by default, everything starts looking very canned, right? So you have two issues that when you ask Jessica about the downside or the risks, it's like you need to have that 10 to 20%. You need to have some personalization, right? So the guiding force is getting to a certain point. The other issue, though, I think that I'm not sure gets talked about a lot is for people that are in marketing roles or people who are trying to help, like you also don't want AI to make you dumb, right? So
I like that quote.
I mean, part of this is like, we want employees and people in marketing to stay sharp. We want them to be creative. We want them to be challenging. And, if everything is reliant on AI, you're going to get dumb fast. And, that's a risk that it's a balance, right? So you have to, marketers are by nature curious people, and we want to keep doing things. So again, guiding force, but like those two risks are things that I think we have to be very cognizant of, so we don't go down that the rabbit hole, as you said.
Yeah, and AI doesn't replace human curiosity, and human curiosity, especially as you were saying, Nick, with marketers, I mean, that drives innovation and collaboration and new, fresh ideas. So,
yeah, although I'll say, like, I just asking, any of the tools, like, hey, give me, 30 creative subject lines for something. I mean, or give me some ideas for an event name. Those are great prompts and great things to generate conversation. Right? They're great ways to jumpstart. It's like it's this automated whiteboard that we're jumping 10 steps ahead to now then debate collaboratively versus. I mean, you guys know how hard sometimes it is to try to pull information out of people, right? Like if you're trying to do a session and you're with somebody, like we're coming to the table with this stuff to debate that versus debate trying to get that information.
It helps jumpstart those conversations, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
You're going to see more and more usage statements from companies too, and Wired magazine, they have on their website, they list, I think, 6 or 7 ways that they use generative AI, and none of them are creating original content or images. It's, to your point, Nick and Jim, it's brainstorming, generating ideas, collaboration. I mean, giving clients something to react and respond to. And that's where they're tapping into the value of generative AI.
And
I think it's funny that,
yeah.
Sorry, Jim.
Go ahead, Nick. No, go ahead, Nick. I was gonna slight switch on other risks or other considerations, but once you finish your thought first. All right, Jessica, I was gonna say the other thing, Gen AI definitely has huge positive potential. The other things that for practitioners, people using Gen AI, Allison mentioned, Gen AI is only as accurate as the information it read or got fed in there. So there's hallucinations, so it could give you wrong information. The other one is, as more and more people play with it, make sure you understand the tools, the online tools and things you're using. And if you put in any proprietary or confidential data, whether related to your clients, your companies, be careful, because some of these Gen AI tools are kind of like a public brain. It sucks in what everyone's saying and it learns from it, and then they can use that same information, spit it out to other people. So just be aware of the data policies of these tools you use. And if you really want to build something where you use a public large language model, but then be able to carve out a part of the brain just for your confidential information that's partitioned and not be feeding it into the brain. There are a lot of companies trying to figure that out and make it easy for companies to do that. So you can still feed in your confidential proprietary information, but not be feeding into a public brain that everyone else can then take your confidential information and ideas and IP.
And just to add to that, and it's so important to look at the T&Cs, the terms and conditions of these generative AI tools. I mean, there was just a few months ago that one of the generative AI companies, they had in their fine print, let's say Teresa wanted to try out their solution, 30-day trial. And she played around with the solution, said, no, it's not really working for me. I'm not saving any time. I'm done with it. In their T&Cs, this company said, even if you, like Teresa, decide to use a trial of our solution, that gives us the unequivocal right to list you as a global customer on all our marketing materials indefinitely. And there was a huge uproar about it, and this company has since backed down on that. But these companies are starving for data. And it's not who has the best AI tool. It's going to be who has the best data and is using it in the best way. Those are going to be the clear winners in this AI economy.
So I think we've made the case that there's enough goodness in here that everybody should at least try, right?
Sure.
Test it out, see where you can apply it in your job, in your role, in your project, whatever. I think some of the other things that I've heard is, I don't want to try it at all because I'm afraid it's going to replace me, right? This is going to change my role or remove my role at all from the equation. But I think we're saying here that that's not the case. Maybe some things will change, but you're always going to need that human element.
I actually absolutely think it will eliminate jobs. I mean, I think it will reduce jobs. It will, but to your point, Jessica, it will change jobs. And just like anything, like, do we just lose her?
I think she didn't like your answer, so she left.
She did not like your answer.
She left.
She lost her job.
I'll pinch it for her while she's gone. Keep going on your thought around the job situation.
Yeah, I mean, again, as marketers, and even if you think about just in the channel itself and partners, like everything, we should want it to change. We should want it to, we should want it to eliminate And we should probably say not eliminate jobs. We should say we should eliminate tasks. We should eliminate
Right.
the things that AI can do for us, so that
Mhm.
we as real humans can do the things that we want to do, whether that be, other forms of marketing, sales, go to market, all those things. Like, those are things that just give us more time, but it absolutely will, and it should eliminate
Mhm.
certain tasks for us,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
But to your point, Nick, I mean, it will provide more and different opportunities for marketers. So, for example, with prompting, right now, and marketers are a little bit guilty of this. When a new technology comes out, we rush to use it the very lowest bar of usage. So, for example, when mobile phones came out, we all were excited to push out text messages, ads, and political organizations are still doing that. With content marketing, we started creating clickbait articles. Social media was newsjacking, and now with generative AI, people are using it, and many of them, in the lowest common denominator. They're using it for research, as a thesaurus, as an editor. But the real value is going to come in a couple different ways. I mean, first of all, we all need to get really good at prompt crafting, because right now our prompts are pretty basic. And I'm just looking at my notes because I jotted a couple of examples down. Basic prompts, summarize a transcript, reply to an email, send a thank you email. Advanced prompting is what we need to get good at. For example, conduct a multi-step account and contact research, summarize a point of view from multiple data sources. We're all going to need to skill up on creating more advanced prompts, particularly with the goal of unlocking our customer data and unifying our customer data and leveraging that data to create the hyper-personalized customer experiences that channel marketers, I mean, that's what we're tasked to do.
Yeah. And Jessica, I think for people who are worried about their jobs, I mean, it's kind of like glass half full, glass half empty. If they look at it as, hey, I can embrace this technology and be that much more effective and come out with things that much faster, it can actually help advance them faster in their job. So, for instance, the prompting and being smart about prompting is really interesting. I was talking with the CEO of DeepGram, one of the companies I advise. He said, Jim, treat the prompts like talking to a human. So I played with Google Bard this morning, as I mentioned on press release. It generated a nice typical press release. Then I said, hey, that sounds too serious. Make it a little more lighthearted, and then generate a whole new press release with different wording just automatically. Then I said, hey, just for fun, do it in a Shakespeare style language. And it came out. So the prompt, the thing I learned from DeepGram CEO is, there is a mastery and art in the prompting if you use it very well. Treat it like a human being, and you'd be shocked how well it understands those things and can help you elevate your jobs and the output that you're trying to, that is part of your job. So look at it more as an opportunity than, oh, it's going to replace my job. Right. Now, if your job is doing very menial tasks, the entire job is based on that, then you might be a threat, be a little threatened. But if your job is adding value, creating content, I think Gen AI and all these AI tools can be a huge friend for you to help you be more productive and successful.
Jim, one of the funniest things I've seen. Yep. I'm sorry.
Go Nick. Go.
One of the funniest things I've seen recently is one of the plugins for LinkedIn. To your point about ask them to write in Shakespeare, like you can basically use the tool to write prompts or write responses, but it has a cringe level on it, so you can put cringe level low or high.
That's good, yeah.
And then so that it can create. I mean, it's pretty entertaining. So if you really want to, you want to spice it up and be really cringy, then AI can do that for you too.
There you go.
So I think takeaway number one is try them out.
Sure.
Go test out the waters. There's lots of different choices out there, lots of different ways that you can become faster at your job or spur on your creativity or give you something to start with So you're
Right.
not starting from scratch, right? Helping you become more efficient. But then I think the second takeaway is prompting. Like how you ask is going to make a big deal on the output that you get. So I'm sure
Absolutely.
that there are prompting, mastery people out there already that have done that. I've not asked it to do a Shakespearean version,
Mhm.
Jim, but just for the heck of it, I might have to
You
do
should.
that.
It's pretty funny. It's pretty good. Yeah.
Very funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as we close here, any other takeaways that anybody has from this, or any other words of wisdom to add on to our little session here?
Yeah, for me, as I said before, I mean, AI is a tool. It's not an easy button. And the real value of AI isn't going to come from having it emulate old ways, old ways of solving problems. I mean, it's up to us to use these tools. I mean, we're in the driver's seat here. It's
Absolutely.
up to us to unlock new capabilities using these AI tools. And for the people, some who might be, watching this right now, and if so, thank you so much. But for people who are not, comfortable with AI yet, dip your toes into it. You're probably already using it in some way. Gmail might be helping you write your emails right now. A little AI goes a long way. Just pick a tool like Claude, for example, or Descript, which is an audio video tool. That's, I call it the Swiss Army knife of AI. I mean, you can take a Zoom call and take the recording, drop it into Descript. It will produce a video and a transcript for you that you can edit and turn into a customer FAQ or success story, a social media post, a blog post. And you don't need to have multiple tools. Just try one and see how it works for you.
Yeah, my advice too is just, don't be afraid of it. Just go try it out, whether it's Google Bard, ChatGPT, Claude, choose your favorite one that you're comfortable with, put in some things and see what it is and see what isn't. It could be, I put it in for, give me a 7-day itinerary for visiting London as a first-time tourist, and it gave an amazing itinerary. Just for fun, I put in, write me a breakup newsletter for my girlfriend. I'm not going to use that, but it generated pretty good. And if I ever did have to break up with a girlfriend, so
Oh
my
my
wife won't
gosh,
like
is
that,
she on
but
this call?
my wife
Is
won't
she
like that.
watching this?
Or
Let's hope she's not watching this.
Your
Yeah,
wife
or,
would not be happy.
or,
about that.
Cringe level 10.
recommend
Cringe level
10
2.
ways I
Yeah.
can communicate better with my teenager. Things like that. It's pretty amazing, and just try it out, learn from it, and see what it is and what it isn't. So.
And I guess
Nick?
I would say, and there's a recent report from McKinsey that said that, like, I think 90% of people, commercial leaders, will use AI in the next 2 years. And what struck me is, I think we have to not. There's so much news. Every post you see, here's all
Yeah.
these different tools you can use. I think as marketers, we should just, the mantra, be curious. I think that's important.
Yep.
But I also
Huge.
think don't try to solve everything. I'm all about the 1% improvements. If you can figure out just
Yeah.
one thing that you can do to make your time a little bit better, make your team, make your client, don't try to eat the whole elephant at once when it comes to AI.
No.
Just pick one small thing at a time, and it's compound interest. All that stuff will add
Exactly.
up.
Love
Exactly. Great insights.
it. Love it. Nick, Allison, Jim, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
love this discussion. I'm sure more to come. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I'm sure we'll see you again here on LinkedIn Live. Teresa, any closing remarks?
My closing comments are, one, you all were fantastic, and I loved the collaboration between you. And secondly is, I do believe AI is causing a level of distrust. And so, my word is to really focus on your people and making sure you're creating a deep level of trust among your people.
Absolutely.
And leverage everything that you all talked about today. So
Wonderful.
Thank you very much for joining us. And I loved all the comments, and it was great. Terrific job, all of you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Take
Bye,
care.
all. Have a great one.
Bye.
Thank you again for joining us, everyone.
All right.